what is adoption? Adoption is a process in which a family is seeking a child. In the 80s, you were in a long line of people that wanted to adopt children. So I did, take some precise notes that I'm going to share with you as far as how adoption goes. So you have open adoption and you have a closed adoption. Open adoption is just what it sounds like. A closed adoption, I can explain that a little more. They used to call them secret adoptions. It's a process by which an infant is adopted by another family and the record of the biological parents is kept sealed. Often the biological father is not recorded, even on the original birth certificate. So prior to adoption, the infant would often be placed in temporary and state-mandated foster care for a few weeks to several months until the adoption was approved. This would also ensure that he or she was healthy, that the birth parent was sure about relinquishment, and that nothing was overlooked at the time of birth. Once the adoption has been approved, the agency transfers the infant from foster care, if it was used, to the adoptive parents. After the infant has spent a few weeks or months with the adoptive parents, the judge formally and legally approves the adoption. The natural mother has until the final court hearing. This then will present a new birth certificate for the adoptive parents. So, my name, of course, was Ricky Lee. That was the birth name given to me, Ricky Lee. And then my mom and my dad named me Monica Elizabeth. Two words, one name. That's my first name, Monica Elizabeth. And then my middle name was Brittany. So that's legally on my birth certificate, Monica Elizabeth. And my mom, Jane, and my dad, Theodore, are also on that birth certificate. So that's how adoption works. When you were 7 months pregnant, when Tracy was 7 months pregnant, she knew she wanted to give me up for adoption. She was going back and forth with my dad. It was just a whole big shit show, I guess. 7 months, she went to the adoption agency and let them know that she's contemplating giving her child up for adoption. Now, for a while, I didn't know what happened from the time that she left the hospital to the time that my mom, Jane, had gotten me. So I went through all the paperwork and I read everything thoroughly. I just kept going through all the paperwork.
So here I am showing you guys that I made the newspaper. Yep, that's me, little old bald-headed me. I made a section in the newspaper because I was the first Black baby to be adopted, and it highlights the joys of my mom and my dad. This was actually the first day of me entering my new home with my mom and dad. Here's the paper that I was telling you guys about. When you put your child up for adoption, there's a interview. They ask you questions, try to get to know you and understand, and to leave some information that you would want your children to know, or just information that you want the agency to know. And in this case right here, so here we are about to debunk the whole lie of I died in the hospital. States right here. The birth mother stated she had been involved with the birth father for 1.5 years. They were planning to be married. The mother stated that the birth father was aware of her pregnancy, but did not express concern or interest in her or the baby for months. Parental rights were terminated. Yeah. She had 2 small children and felt that emotionally and financially she was unable to manage with another child in a household. So, I mean, there you have it right there. There was no death of me. This paper is the finalization, the adoption placement agreement, September 7th, 1988. That was the finalization. I don't know if you guys can read this, and I'm sorry if you can't, but this is just basically another part of the interview, or where they're describing, both the parents, the household composition, and just overall interests of the parents. And when I say parents, I mean biological parents. So here was the answer. Here lies the answer of from April 28th until I got with my mom, what was going on. Voluntary relinquishment, July 22nd, 1988. That is when Tracy came to them and dropped me off. Hannah had told me that she remembers me coming home. She doesn't remember anything after that. And yet, even though she was 1, I still didn't put it past, the brain being able to compute certain things. So she kept saying that she remembers me coming home. My father said that he remembers me coming home as well. Well, this is proof, and this is truth. At the end of the day, I did come home. She did bring me home. She kept me from April to July 22nd. My father and her got into a disagreement, and the next thing you know, he leaves. And then it looks like I probably was sent to... She made up her mind. I was sent to be adopted. This is a letter that proves that I was in foster care until I was placed with my mom. And enclosed in that letter was a little picture of me. And it does say, I apologize for the poor quality of the Xerox copy of Kayla, which was my name apparently, from one of the foster parents.
And my feelings toward adoption, in my case, right, is it has its good and its bad. I want to let y'all know too, I keep saying that I wasn't looking for my biological family, because I wasn't. In the same year, around the same time, within a month apart, my little brother, as well as my cousin, who's like a sister cousin, all of us found our biological families. All of us found our biological families. Their stories, the 2 of them, my brother and my cousin, were success stories. I'm very happy for them. My brother, he found his mom. His mom was forced to give him up. She was pregnant at 16. Her heritage is African. So, I mean, like, her parents are from Africa. They came to America. Well, her mom came to America with her and her siblings. And at 16, she got pregnant. And so, as, cultured, being African, certain things in the 80s and things like that, they were just like a no-go. She wanted to keep my brother. She wanted to raise my brother at the age of 16. Her mother, of course, her being under the age of 18, and just being a parent, that's a mom being a mom, and saying it's already hard enough to take care of you and your siblings. For me, I'm not allowing you to keep a child. I can't support you. I can't support the baby. I can't do all this, even though against her wishes, because she was stating that I can take care of my child myself. The mom, his grandmother, made her or had her give him up. she never stopped looking for her son. Of course, she was 16, so knowing how to do things, probably she wasn't the best at knowing how to do it. But what matters is that her heart never forgot her son. Her heart never forgot her son. Sorry, guys. And my brother was ecstatic to know that his mother loved him. She tried to find him when she got older. He was ecstatic, and he came to me happy because I told you guys I didn't have a sibling bond with my siblings. I had a motherly bond with my siblings because I was there to take care of them. Like, those are my little best friends. Those were my kids before my kids. So I looked at it, as a mom perspective, and I felt like I needed to comfort him and be in the moment of him, despite I never told him that I was in one of the deepest depressing moments of my life at that time. My meetup didn't go like that. But I'm a very selfless person, especially with those that I love. And I told him I was happy for him. He got the answers, and they were the truthful answers. And ever since then, that was 2 years ago, he sees his mom, twice a year. She lives a distance away. He goes and visits her. He loves her. She loves him. He has a brother. Everybody has just embraced him as, like, I'm so glad that you're here. And that really makes my heart happy. It really does. It does. It really does. It makes me happy. And I wish that was the same for me. I do. My cousin, she found her mom. Her mom, she was truthful. Her mom had lots of kids. I hate to tell other people's stories, just because I feel like I want them to tell their story. But I believe what was told to me is that the mom, she had lots of kids, and she wasn't the best role model for her kids at that time. And some of her kids got taken, and my cousin was one of them that got taken, and she didn't get her back. My cousin embraced her mother. There was no malice in her heart. She embraced her mother. This is what life was. This is what it is, Mom. It's okay. I'm going to love you. I'm going to love you. I'm going to love you. Because you're telling me, you're telling me the truth. You're keeping it real with me. You're keeping it real with me. She saw her siblings. Her and her siblings have a beautiful bond. Both of my babies, my little brother and my cousin, they have bonds with their siblings. They're inseparable. Like, they have the luxury of enjoying two sets of parents. And I love them, and I'm happy for them. And no matter what I'm going through, I would never want to see or have anybody feel the way that I have felt. And they're aware now because I kept it to myself because I don't want to ruin anybody else's happiness. I kept it to myself about the turmoil that was going on in my head and in my life, physically, spiritually. And I embraced all of the warm, happy stories that they had to tell me about their family. Is it hard? It's hard. It's hard. But I accept what life has to give me. And that's all I've been doing my whole life, is just accepting that that's what life has to give me. Suicide has always been my go-to, suicidal attempts. My mental has always been in turmoil surrounding some of these things. But I'm always going to live for my kids. I stopped living for myself, and I've been stopped living for myself. The moment that I became a mother, I stopped living for myself, and I don't think that's the best thing to do, is to stop living for yourself. You should always live for your kids, but you should never stop living for yourself. And so I started to lose myself and my mental, but I always was there 100% behind my kids. So they didn't see that. And Tracy had asked me an interesting question at our first meetup. What would you do? Now, for someone who is saying that they did not give me up, right? To this day, is still saying they did not give me up. I died in the hospital. I never left that hospital with you. You were left in the hospital. And I said, so you didn't have a funeral for me? And you didn't allow anybody to come see me? Before, I know parents that have had stillborns that have sat hours with their baby, their beautiful baby, who is no longer alive, until they felt like their heart could attempt to let them go. And you mean to tell me that they took me to the back when I was born, you didn't see me for the 3 days, and at discharge, they never came back with me. And so they told you that I died, and you left the hospital because they told you that I died. As a mom, I would have never left that fucking hospital. I would have tore that hospital from the very first stone that hospital was ever built into the last stone it was built with. Because if I had a healthy baby in the hospital and I gave birth to this healthy baby, and the next moment my baby is dead and I ain't even see my baby, we got a fucking problem. There's differences between you and I. I'm not going to sit here and go back about no hypothetical nothing. Because I'm not playing games. I don't play mind fuck games with people. I don't fuck with people's mental. I don't play those type of games. So we're not going to sit up here and discuss things that you never even thought of. In my opinion, you never thought about that shit. The paperwork is the paperwork. I have all of the original documentation. And there's no arguing the original documentation. I said, if you saying that the hospital did you wrong or lied to you, let's fight this shit together. I stated that. If you feel like they lied to you, told you I was dead, and then somehow the hospital gave me away to an adoption agency and the adoption agency got rid of me, let's fight this together. Let's do this hand in hand, because you deserve justice. I deserve justice. My father deserves justice. We deserve justice. If this hospital system is crooked, let's fight this shit together. I guess she won't expecting to really even hear that shit. One thing I'm gonna always do is I'm gonna call you on your bluff. I'm gonna call you on your bluff. I gave all of me into this situation. I wanted to believe you. I wanted to believe you. I wanted to. Why wouldn't anybody want to believe that? Why wouldn't anybody want to believe, my mother did love me? My mother, this had to have been a freak act. Why wouldn't a child want that? Because that's going to show the child that this parent loved them. And it was a mistake, or it was this, or it was that. So a part of me was just like, yeah, this could be a mistake. Oh my goodness. Like, let's fix this shit. Let's find the death certificate, because they had to give you one. I asked. If I died, they had to give you a death certificate. Well, I don't know where it's at. It's probably somewhere in my paperwork. Even things like that, answers like that just would not make sense to me. One of my other brothers lost his baby. That baby death certificate, ashes, everything. There's a whole little memoriam in his house with that. Where's the memorial or the remembrance of me? There was none. Other than a group chat that y'all said happy birthday to me every year, there was nothing else of me for y'all.